Just waiting for a few more people to join before we get started. Also just adjusting this a bit. Maybe I need it. I'm doing ratio and rate today. Oh no, that's too loud. Okay, sorry guys, there's a little fan going here, but let me just switch it down. Sure. That sounded quite heavy. Sorry about that, guys. Can you? No. It's like on slow. Okay, guys, we're gonna get started in 1 minute. 1 minute. On slow. Please share with some more people if you want to. People that you know have a hard time with ratio and rate. Lots of people have requested that I do a live on ratio and rate, so we are doing that today. Okay guys, I think we are going to get started. So this is just going to be 30 minutes. It's not going to be super long. I'm just going to do some examples on ratio and rate. Like I said, lots of people have asked me to do this, and I think the reason why so many people struggle with ratio and rate is because it is problem solving. There isn't really like a specific formula that you can... Oh, sure. Sorry about that. Sorry. There isn't really a specific formula that you can memorize and that you can always use, that will always work. You do kind of have to just read through the question and figure out in each question what you need to do. So I am going to give you some pointers, things that you can look out for, maybe some things that will make it a bit easier, some foundations, maybe things to start with, and we'll see. Hopefully that helps. Okay, so we are looking at, I've just written here 1 to 3, and then I've rewritten the ratio of 1 to 3 in different ways so that you can see how ratios work. So when you are working with ratios, it's important to remember that each number in a ratio actually represents a certain number of parts. So if we're looking at the ratio 1 to 3, that represents 4 parts, because this is 1 part of the ratio and that is 3 parts of the ratio. So when you add those parts together, you will get a total of 4 parts. Now, when you're working in a ratio is actually the same as a fraction, in the sense that when you are multiplying one side of a ratio by a number, so if we're looking at this here, we're multiplying 1 by 2, and that gives us 2. Then you can't just do that on the one side of the ratio, you have to do it on the other side as well. So you will have to say 3 times 2, that will give you 6 as well. So we call these equivalent ratios. They mean the same thing. The ratio of 1 to 3 is the same as a ratio of 2 to 6. Meaning that if someone gets 1 part of these 4 parts, they will be getting the same as 2 parts of the total 8 parts that you have here. Now with ratios, you are not always going to multiply by the same number. Sometimes you can even divide. So I have the same ratio of 1 to 3 over here. Now if you're going from 1 to a third, all right, that is the same as dividing by 3. Or you can say that you are multiplying by a third. Okay, it's up to you. Those two things actually mean the same thing. Now, if you are going from 1 to a third, you're dividing by 3, you would have to do the same thing on the other side of the ratio as well. 3 divided by 3 will give you 1, or 3 multiplied by a third will also give you 1. These two, again, are equivalent ratios. Now, the same thing happens over here. 1 to 3 is the same as 10 to 30. You have gone from 1 to 10, you have multiplied by 10. And from 3 to 30, you are also multiplying by 10. Okay, that's how it works with ratios. And often we have to do that in a question. Often they give us information to set up a base ratio, which would be like 1 to 3 in this case. It's actually going to be the same in this first example that we're going to do. And then they'll give you more information on one of these values have to be increased or decreased, or maybe even the total of the 4 parts needs to be increased or decreased. Then you must do the same thing to all of the numbers in the ratio. Alright, so for number 1, we're going to work through this example. All of these questions are from the answer series. If you have the answer series, it's a really, really great resource to use. Yeah, you can really get lots of nice practice, and they have worked solutions at the back of the book as well. So the first example is saying, in order to make energate from a concentrate, it must be mixed with water in a certain ratio. For every 1 liter of concentrate, 3 liters of water is required. Now guys, from that sentence, we can set up our base ratio. We can say concentrate to water is going to be equal to 1 to 3. So 1 liter of concentrate and 3 liters of water together is going to give you how many liters of energate? If we have 1 liter of concentrate and 3 liters of water, isn't that altogether 4 liters of energate? So this 1 to 3 is actually giving us 4 parts, like I said before. If you're adding the numbers in the ratio together, that will give you the total number of parts. Now in this case, the total number of parts actually represents energate that we're making. Alright, so concentrate and water is going to give us energate. So I'm just going to write it on the side here. 1 liter C, concentrate, plus 3 liters W, water, is going to give us 4 liters of energate. Alright, that is how we're going to use this this ratio in this question. Now they're saying, so that, like I said again, I'm actually going to just use a highlighter here. I'm just going to underline this sentence. For every 1 liter of concentrate, 3 liters of water is required. Okay, so that is what we're getting from that sentence, that ratio 1 to 3. Now they're saying, if I have to make 56 liters of energate, now they're giving us the total, right? They're telling us how many liters of energate we're making. You have to make 56 liters of energate. That's the information that they're giving us. If I have to make 56 liters of energate for the Derby Day against Parklands, how many liters of concentrate do I need? Alright, so they are telling us 56 liters of our total. How many liters of concentrate are we going to need? So guys, in this case, this question is tricky because they haven't increased the ratio in one of these values. They haven't told us that 1 to 3 must be equal to 2 to something or 3 to something. They're actually giving us the total liters of energate that we need to get to. So now you need to ask yourself, to go from 4 to 56, what must you do? 4 multiplied by which number is going to give you 56? Can anyone answer that question? 4 times what is 56? So we're looking at the increase in the total here. Our total for our base ratio was 4 liters of energate. Now they're wanting 56 liters of energate. Who knows what that is? 4 multiplied by what number will give you 56? I'll wait for an answer. 4 times what is 56? Or you can ask 56 divided by 4 if you want to go the other way around. Does no one know the answer? Wow. 4 times what is 56? Okay, I'll give you the answer. I think I waited long enough. There we go. Thank you. Who's that? Amira. 14. Yes. Well done. Thank you, guys. So 14. So now to go from 4 liters to 56 liters, we had to times it by 14. Sorry, that's a little bit off screen. Let me just move it a bit to the side. So we are timesing the total number of parts, basically, right? The 1 plus 3. We're timesing that by 14 and we're getting 56. Now, guys, that is what we're going to have to do in this ratio as well. Our total number of parts we had to times by 14. So now we need to times the 1 and the 3 by 14 as well to get the increased ratio. So there we go. We're going to times that by 14. We're going to times that by 14. That will give us an equivalent ratio, a ratio that is actually the same as 1 to 3, but is not going to give us a total of 4 liters. It's going to give us a total of 56 liters. That's now what they're asking. So 1 times 14, I'm sure we all know this, is 14, and 3 times 14 is 42. Now, what does that mean? Remember, the 1, the first number in our ratio, represents the concentrate, the liters of concentrate. The 3, the second number in the ratio, which is now 42, represents the number of liters of water. So that means that, what is the question asking for? Now we just need to read the question again and make sure that we're answering it. How many liters of concentrate do you need? Concentrate is the first number, so to get 56 liters of Energade, our total number of liters, we need to use 14 liters of concentrate. So therefore, 14 liters of concentrate. Now guys, if the question had asked for how many liters of water you need, your answer is right there. Okay, if you're working with both values in this ratio and you're increasing both of those values in the ratio, you'll get both numbers. You'll get the liters of concentrate that you need, but the second number, remember, represented the number of liters of water. So that is 42 liters of water. That is if they asked. All right, I'll just put that in brackets. You don't have to write this down. It wasn't a part of the question, but they could have asked that as well. So 14 liters of concentrate and 42 liters of water. That will, and does that make sense? If you add 14 liters and 42 together, 14 plus 42 is 56. All right, that does give us the number of liters of Energade that they are asking for. Okay, let's look at example 2. And all of these examples have some kind of difficult part to them. None of these examples that we're going to do today are super easy. So let's look at example 2. They're saying Mrs. Osborne bakes small apple tarts. She uses 3/4 of an apple for 1 tart. Now guys, there we go. There is our base ratio. They will either give you the base ratio or they will give you some sentence where it's written in the sentence. So you need to read these questions very carefully. They are basically like word problems, right? Which is difficult. You have to just make sure that you read very carefully. All right. So 3/4 of an apple for 1 tart. So I'm going to write here apples to tarts. Okay. We need 3/4 of an apple for 1 tart. So I'm going to write that as 3/4 to 1. Oh, guys, amazing. I just reached 50,000 followers. Yay. Thank you so much. That's really cool. On this live. Thank you to everyone that's followed and that's supported. Oh, that's great news. Okay, back to the question. Apples to tarts, 3/4 to 1. All right, so let's see. What else are they saying? If she has 21 apples, how many full tarts can she bake? All right, so now they're giving us the new number of apples. All right. This is pure maths. This is grade 8 and 9 work. I think they do this in Maths Lit in higher grades. Yeah, but this is junior pure maths. Okay, if she has 21 apples, how many full tarts can she bake? Now, guys, they've given us the new number of apples, all right? So they've given us this, 21. And now the question is, how many tarts? So now we need to figure out, what do we have to do in terms of multiplying, dividing, and so on? What do we have to do in order to get from 3/4 to 21? Now that's a difficult one, right? Because if we were looking here, if you had to go from 1 to 14, that's easy. You just multiply by 14. But now we're going from 3/4 to 21. That's not an easy thing to do. All right, 3/4 to 21. So I suggest that we do like a middle step. We first change 3/4 to 1, and then we change it to 21. All right, so I'm just going to rewrite it here on the side. 3/4 to 1, that was the base ratio. Now I'm going to change my first number to a 1, and then I'm going to change that to 21. Because, guys, it's really easy to go from 1 to another number. You just multiply it by that number. All right, so we have to go 3/4 to 1 and then to 21. Just because it's not so easy to just go straight from 3/4 to 21. I don't know how many of you can just think in your head, what must you multiply 3/4 by to get to 21? Okay, that's the only reason why I'm doing this middle step. Okay, so 3/4 to 1. Now, guys, how do you go from a number to 1? What do you have to do to any number to turn it into 1? Right? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to say that 3/4 divided by 3/4 is 1. Isn't that true? 3/4 divided by 3/4. A number divided by itself is equal to 1. Right? Just think about that for a second. 3/4 divided by 3/4 is equal to 1. So that's what I'm going to do. But guys, like we discussed at the beginning already, you can't just work on one side of a ratio. You have to do the same thing on the other side. So 1, I'm also going to have to divide by 3/4. Okay, we'll do that actual calculation just now. First, I'm just figuring out what calculation I actually have to do. Okay, so I'm going to just go from the start. I need to go from 3/4 to 21. That's not an easy calculation to do straight. So I'm deciding to put in a middle step where I go from 3/4 to 1 and then to 21. So 3/4 divided by 3/4 will give you 1. So you do that on the other side of the ratio as well. And now, what do I do to go from 1 to 21? I need to multiply it by 21. Right? 1 times 21 is 21. So I'm going to have to do the same thing on this side as well. Okay, like I said, we'll do this actual calculation now. So now this is telling me how I'm going to get to my answer. Because remember, this is what I wanted, right? I wanted to get to this answer. So now I'm going to have to say 1 divided by 3/4 and then multiplied by 21. That will give me my answer. Now, guys, what do you do whenever you are dividing by a fraction? You have to tip in times, right? So I actually am going to write my 1 as 1/1. You'll see now why I'm doing that. And 21, I'm also going to write as 21/1. When I'm multiplying by a fraction, I prefer to just write all of them as fractions, okay? Because then we can cross cancel and so on. So what did I do here? I rewrote 1 as 1/1. My divided by 3/4, I'm changing to multiplying by 4/3. And then my times by 21, just so that I have another fraction here, I'm rewriting that as 21/1. Okay, I prefer to just actually multiply all fractions together instead of some fractions and some whole numbers. Okay, so now this first number is actually irrelevant. It's just a 1. 1 multiplied by anything will just give you that same number. So let's see what happens here. With a 4 and a 1, can I cross cancel? 4 and 1, I can't cross cancel there. But with 3 and 21, 3 does go into 21, right? 3 goes into 21 7 times. So I can cross cancel with my 3 and 21. And because 3 goes into 21 7 times, I'm going to be left with a 7 up there at the top. So now what can I do here at the top? All of these numbers that are left, 1 times 4 is 4, and then 4 times 7 is 28. And at the bottom I just have 1, so that's going to be 28/1. So 28. Right, so the answer there is going to be 28. Okay, so that is the number of full tarts that Mrs. Osborne can bake if she has 21 apples. So guys, this is something that you need to be able to do. If you are given a base ratio and then they give you a value in a new ratio, you need to figure out how do you go from the value in the base ratio to the value in the new ratio, and then you apply those same things to the other side, and then you'll get your answer. All right, so here we decided we need to divide by 3/4 and times by 21. Then we're doing the same thing to the other side of the ratio, and then we get our answer. All right, so the answer here is 28 full tarts that she can bake. Yes, I am going to do another one now. All right, so ratios, yeah, it includes a lot of working with numbers, multiplying by numbers, dividing by numbers, working from a base ratio to a new ratio. All right. Let's look at number 3. Now, number 3 is about money being collected. Okay, so Tikkie and Sixpence, interesting names, collected money for charity in the ratio 5:2. So see, guys, in this question, they haven't written the ratio in like a sentence. They're actually giving us the ratio that we need to work with. Okay, so we can write that down right from the start. The ratio is 5:2. Okay. Sixpence collected 600 Rand less than Tikkie. Now, guys, if Sixpence collected less than Tikkie, which number here is the smaller number? 5 or 2? 5 or 2? Obviously, 2 is the smaller number, right? So that means that the person that collected less money has to be attached to this 2. All right, so this 2 represents Sixpence. And the 5 is then going to have to represent Tikkie. So now if we're looking at this 5:2, all right, we didn't really write the number of parts in the other question because we didn't need to work with it. But here, let's just take a look. We have 5 and 2 parts, so we have 7 parts in total. We might have to use it in this question. Let's see what else they're telling us. They're saying determine the total amount collected. Okay, so, sorry, I was just reading some of the comments. They're asking here, they're saying that it was 5:2, the ratio of Tikkie to Sixpence, the money that they collected. Sixpence collected 600 Rand less than Tikkie. Guys, are we noticing that that is the only place in this question where they're mentioning an actual amount, right? So this 600 Rand is important. We're going to have to work with that 600 Rand. That's the only place where they're telling us anything about how much money was actually collected. Sixpence collected 600 Rand less than Tikkie. And they're wanting us to determine the total amount collected. So they're wanting us to determine the total 7 parts altogether. How much money did they collect? Now, guys, the amount that they gave us was the amount less that Sixpence collected than Tikkie. So now we need to actually look at the difference in this ratio. The ratio is 5:2. Are we in agreement, hopefully, that 2 is 3 parts less than 5? I'm going to say that again, right? 2 is 3 parts less than 5. So Sixpence collected 3 parts less than Tikkie. I'm going to write that out. Someone suggested a calculation. Yes, that will work. I'm just doing it slightly differently so that you can see that even if you don't understand the whole multiplying, dividing thing, then you can still figure it out logically. All right, so Sixpence collected 3 parts less than Tikkie. Right, if we're just actually comparing the 5 parts and the 2 parts, all right? So Sixpence collected 3 parts less. I'm sure we all agree that 2 is 3 less than 5. So what did they tell us in terms of the actual amount? It was 600 Rand, all right? So 3 parts is equal to 600 Rand. Now, guys, if we can figure out what 1 part... Yes, you can. If we can figure out what 1 part is equal to, then we can just multiply that by 7 and then we have the 7 parts. Then we have the total amount. All right. Yeah, calm down. I'm explaining it clearly. You might understand. Other people might not understand. So I'm explaining it so that everyone has a chance to catch up. All right. If I'm going too slowly for you, I sincerely apologize. But I think some people are appreciating the fact that I am explaining this slowly. Right, so 6 pence collected, 3 parts less than Tikkie. 3 parts is equal to 600 Rand. So guys, if 3 parts is 600 Rand, we can work out what 1 part is. So 1 part is then going to be 600 divided by 3. It's almost like we're doing the same thing here, like we're working in a ratio. To go from 3 to 1, I have to divide by 3. So then I do the same thing here. Again, I have to divide by 3. And what is 600 divided by 3? That is 200 Rand. Okay, so now we know what 1 part is equal to. They're asking us to determine the total amount collected. Yes, 1 part is 200 Rand, correct. The total amount collected was 7 parts. Remember, I got that by adding the values in the ratio together. The 5 parts and the 2 parts, that was 7 parts. So now, if 1 part is 200, 7 parts is going to be 7 times 200. Okay, so therefore, total amount collected is going to be the 7 parts, so it's going to be 7 times 200, which is going to be 1,400 Rand. Okay, so that is the total amount that both of them collected together. Okay, there are other ways of doing it, guys. Some of you suggested multiplying by a value over the 7. That's fine, you could have done that. Yeah, if you are fine with the way that, with the way that your teacher explains this topic. Sorry, sir, can you close the door, please? Thank you. If you are, don't worry, it's okay. I was just explaining why I'm going slowly. Okay, don't stress. What was I saying? Yeah, if you are fine with the way that your teacher explains it and you prefer working with fractions, that's perfectly fine. I just wanted to show you a different way of doing it, where you actually are comparing the parts in the ratio and then working with that. Some people find it easier to understand if you're doing it like that. Okay, but again, if you like doing it in your teacher's way, that's perfectly fine. Okay, we're just going to do this last one. I see that someone was asking for a rate with distance, speed, and time. I'll do a short explanation question on that, like a TikTok video that I'll actually upload to my page. I will record one of those tomorrow. Okay, I'm not going to have time to do that today, unfortunately. Okay, 6 friends each contribute 155 Rand 50 towards the purchase of a tent. Calculate the amount that each would have to contribute if there were 10 friends in the group. Okay, so 6 friends each contribute 155 Rand 50 towards the purchase of a tent. So guys, if we know that, then we actually know how much this tent cost, right? Because if each of them contributed 155 Rand 50 and there were 6 of them, then the total cost of the tent is going to have to be this 155.50 times by 6. Okay, so we can actually work that out. Total price of tent is going to equal 155.50 times 6. Now, I think it depends on which grade you are in, because in grade 8, I think for the first test or the first term, the department recommends that you do all your tests without a calculator, so you would have to do this calculation in your head. In grade 9, you are just usually also allowed to have a calculator, so you can do this one with a calculator. That should be fine, but this isn't one that's super difficult to calculate without a calculator, right? If it's 6 times 155.50, you can just break it up into parts. So you can say 6 times 100 is 600, right? I'll just do it here at the top. And then you can say 6 times 50 is 300. And then you can say 6 times 5 is 30. And then 6 times 50 cent is 3 Rand. Right, so you can do it like that. And then you can just add all of them up. So that will give you 933 Rand. Yes. Okay, so if you are in grade 9 or even in grade 8 and you are allowed to use your calculator, then you can obviously just type that in. But I'm just showing you that if you have to do it without the use of a calculator, you can also just multiply each part of the number by 6 and then add all of them together. Okay, so guys, the total price of the tent here is 933 Rand. Now they're saying calculate the amount that each friend would have to contribute if there were 10 friends in the group. Now that's not too difficult, all right? We found the total price of the tent. It was 933 Rand. Now if there are 10 of them, then how much is each of them going to have to contribute? We are now obviously assuming that they are each paying the same amount, right? Because in the first instance, they did all contribute the same amount. So I think we can safely assume that if there are 10 of them paying, all 10 of them will also give the same amount. So what do you guys think? How am I going to get that answer? What am I actually going to have to do to get that answer? To calculate that if there were 10 friends in the group, all contributing the same amount, how much would each of them have to contribute to make up this amount of 933 Rand? I'll see if someone can come up with an answer. Divide, yes, take the 933 and divide by 10. All right, so therefore, each must contribute. I actually should have written the calculation before I started writing the sentence, but it's fine. I can do the calculation on the side. All right, so now you guys are saying I must say 933 Rand and I must divide that by 10. That's the calculation that we must do. All right, so that is going to be 93 Rand and 30 cents. All right, so each must contribute 93 Rand 30. Now, someone is asking what grade this is. I think this question specifically would be more suitable to grade 8, but it could be a simple grade 9 question. One of the more routine grade 9 questions, possibly. But yeah, guys, I tried to do 4 different examples now today, so I'm just quickly going to go just give a quick browse again over the ones that we did. This first one was where we had a ratio of 1 to 3. They gave us the total amount of the final product, of the total parts that we must get. So we had to times that by 14, so we had to do the same thing in the original ratio. The second question, we were just working with a very difficult ratio here, 3/4 to 1. So in order to work to 21, we had to introduce a middle step. So I just wanted you guys to see that you can do that. You can always work to 1 or any number that's easy to get to and then work to the final number. You don't have to sit and struggle and rack your brain and think, how do I possibly go from 3/4 to 21? You can do a middle step. Okay, that's perfectly fine. You will get full marks for that, and it's much easier. Then in the third example, I just wanted to show you guys that you can compare the number of parts. If they've given you a question like this, where they're saying someone collected 600 Rand less than Tikkie, then you can actually look at how many less parts was there. And you can then compare that to find one part and then multiply it by 7 to get the total. And this one was just a simple one where they are telling you that 6 friends contributed the same amount. How much will each of them have to contribute if there were 10 of them? All right. And it could be the other way around as well. They could have said, calculate the amount that each would have to contribute if there were only 3 friends in the group. Right? Then you would still have to find the total price of the tent by taking the amount that they all contributed multiplied by the number of people. That's what we did here, right? The amount of the contribution multiplied by the 6 people, that gave us the total price of the tent. And then to get the new amount that each person would have to contribute, you just take that total price and you divide it by how many people there were. Okay, guys, I'm going to make TikTok explanation videos on someone asked for distance, speed, and time. I do have a YouTube channel. That's what I'm going to talk about now. So I'm going to do short explanation videos, like a couple of examples on distance, speed, and time, because I know a lot of people struggle with it. So I'll do that. And then also on direct and indirect proportion, I have had a couple of people asking me to do that as well. Guys, I do have a YouTube channel. You can just click the link in my bio. There are lots of links there. I have notes on my Google Drive that you can go take a look at. I have links to past paper websites, multiple ones, and for IEB as well. And then the link to my YouTube is there as well. I record all of the lessons that I teach in my class, and I post that to my YouTube. Someone is asking now live for grade 12 geometry. I don't have a date for that yet. I am going to go live for grade 11 and 12 trig tomorrow afternoon. Also just a very quick one. So just a quick live, just 30 minutes, just covering some basic stuff that you need to know for trig. So if you are in grade 12, please join for that. And yeah, I will let you guys know when I do geometry. Okay, you will see it on my profile as well. Cool. Thank you so much, guys. I hope that was helpful. Sorry that it was short, but I do have to go now, unfortunately. Please, follow, because then you will get notified as soon as I go live. Whenever I do go live, it is at 4 p.m. So it's usually on a Sunday I can go live, and then on some days in the week, it just depends on what my sport things, matches and so on is like, and I don't always know that ahead of time. So I will see you guys around. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for following. I don't know if you all heard, but I reached 50K during this live, so thank you so much. That really is amazing. That means that I'm now going to make playlists for each grade. All the videos that I've made for grade 8, I'm going to put in the grade 8 playlist, grade 9, 10, 11, 12, and so on. So if you're on a specific grade, you can go and look at those playlists and find the videos that are relevant to you. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I hope that you have a beautiful week.